Hey there everybody, and welcome back to more Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth. I'm still Nikaroth, and after that rather long fall down a very dangerous hole, we find ourselves, well, deep underground it seems, in the mysterious city of the Deep Ones. Yeah, it's been a pretty long, dangerous trek through Innsmouth, the Marsh refinery, the Order of Dagon, a number of very dangerous spots, and this one honestly takes the cake. And we'll be seeing why in just a little bit, but first we have a nice little vista outside.
I've got to shut down that barrier.
Yeah, it seems as if the Marsh family has been working with the old ones to make a little undersea grotto so they can be safe, hoard their gold, and pray to Dagon. And it seems that the military has stumbled upon it, but there's some magical barrier blocking the entrance into it.
We weren't supposing on their return so soon.
Never mind that. Where the hell is Robert?
Your brother's been leading the children in prayer with Mother.
We don't have time for this religious nonsense. There are troops packing the streets, and the order's been completely overrun. It won't be too long before they find out about this place.
I've made certain the temple's well protected. There's plenty of men patrolling the main hallway in prison.
Good. The barrier has got to hold. Keep on your guard and check the entrance from the reef. I'm going to the lab.
I'd better keep my head down. I've got a much better chance of survival if they don't know I'm here.
Actually, that's not very true. You have a much better chance of survival if we take a proactive stance and start filling these fishermen's faces with lead. But yeah, Sebastian Marsh, the brother of Robert Marsh, is apparently, he's sounding kind of angry. And we'll be finding out why that is in a bit. Obviously though, he's a bit on edge with the military being so close by. I don't really see what the big deal is. I mean, they seem pretty well protected by that barrier, and, well, we're the only ones that have found any way inside. Also, what is this?
According to the text, the gateway can only be activated by those bearing a sacred charm and uttering an ancient chant.
Yeah, for those that might remember, inside the esoteric Order of Dagon was another one of those little archways, so maybe there's some connection between that and this underground city. So it's always good to stock up, even though as of right now the rifle is probably going to be our weapon of choice. But I mean, we're locked, cocked, and ready to rock. We're full on ammo, and I think we should be able to take on this entire undersea city as a one-man army of destruction. The weird thing is, it actually seems pretty devoid of enemies. I wonder where everybody is.
Well, what do we have here? I don't believe you have an invitation to our little party.
Just check the guest list. I'm under the section for fellas that ain't ugly freaks.
Throw our jester friend here in with the lab rats. I'll deal with him on a more intimate level later. Increase the security levels. Check the area. Make sure he's alone.
Oh, that's just great. Yet again, we find ourselves completely weaponless and yet inexplicably not immediately killed and locked in a jail cell. Well, at least we can pick up this nearby chisel.
It's just an old chisel.
And that's actually going to be our means of getting out of the cell.
There seems to be a sewage tunnel running below the grating. The grating is heavily rusted, but it won't budge.
Yeah, we're just going to use the chisel as a lever. And we're going to go check out our nearby cellmate.
That's it.
Yeah, all you have to do is wait for the jail master and just a normal sentry to open up the door.
If you make a lot of sound, I'll rip a limb from them.
Yeah, I guess some guys are not taking too well to taking the oaths of Dagon, which is understandable. I personally don't want to be a fisherman. But with him quiet, the guard has left the door unlocked. And now comes the real fun of this particular video, which is, well, trying to figure out where the hell we're supposed to go and not being caught by the guards. Yeah, the guards won't be so nice to us to throw us into the cell as Sebastian Marsh was. Instead, they're just going to start opening fire and causing us a lot of damage. And that one medkit we saw at the start of the level, well, that's the only one we're going to be seeing for a while.
Shut.
And honestly, I'll be the first to say, it's actually pretty easy to get lost and not know where you're actually supposed to be going in here. It's not very intuitive where you are in conjunction to where you were captured or even where you're supposed to be going. And what makes matters even worse is that you're obviously completely defensive, or defenseless. You're not defensive at all. And sometimes figuring out the guard patrols, which there are a lot of, can be very difficult and can require some very prolonged waiting. Don't want to go that way. There are also plenty of locked doors which we cannot do anything with. Honestly, the Marsh, Sebastian Marsh and one of the guards earlier, they vaguely mentioned all the places we would be seeing. Prison hall, laboratory, main hall. And all my stealth has been for naught, because somehow he managed to see me. Yeah, being in the shadows does not actually decrease their ability to see you. Now, normally this would be inexplicably bad. In fact, it is very bad. Because, well, we are fairly injured right now. We have quite a few guards on our ass, and honestly, they actually do pretty well about keeping on you. Thankfully, there are a few hidey holes. They thankfully do not have the ability to duck down and follow us down in here, which is very nice. And honestly, getting a shotgun blast really didn't do that much. Just kind of nicked me in the arm. But I'm just trying to wait for them to, well, I guess go back to not looking for me. It's kind of hard sometimes to tell when they are done looking around. And I have no idea how he saw me, but fuck it. Let's get out of here. Because honestly, you don't want to be chased into this next area, which is what I assume to be the Grand Hall. This is really a massive room. It's got quite a few number of enemies that are just kind of patrolling and chilling around.
You hear that?
And yeah, you're pretty much going to be immediately caught unless you're a master of stealth, which honestly, we've done enough stealth in this game. It's best just to run at this point. Now, the overall problem is still a case of, well, there's a lot of different pathways, there's a lot of different ways to go, and obviously we're being chased. So it's a bit confusing, to say the least.
Looks like some kind of laboratory.
Yeah, I just want to head up there real quick as a point of reference, because we are going to be having to head back to the laboratory at a later point. For right now, though, our main issue is obviously having to arm ourselves. Also, the laboratory is locked, so we can't even get in there. So after I am fairly certain that that particular fishman has walked away, it's time to actually get on the path we need to go. First though, just as another point of reference, where we were captured was actually further up this way. Yet again, I am not actually sure why they just didn't straight out kill Jack Walters. I mean, they could have shot him, they could have used the wind sorcerer to smash him, but no, they just threw him in a cell with a rather easy way to escape. And especially after the Shaggoth incident, I don't know, I don't really have that much faith in the Marsh family being able to kill Jack. Yeah, as we slowly follow this patrol up the hill, this is actually the way we are wanting to go. This can actually be extremely dangerous as we get up here to this archway. Mostly because, as you'll be able to see, well, there's two fishmen, and they honestly have maybe the worst peripheral vision so far, but yeah, I kind of assumed they would have been able to spot me. But yeah, it's good to honestly have a good mental map of this place. There is no actual in-game map. I haven't been failing to show that off to you nice viewers. Nope. You just kind of have to remember the way to go. I mean, for the most part, the game has been pretty linear map-wise. But especially with this undersea city, well, there's a very good chance of getting lost. And, well, getting lost in this particular time will pretty much get you completely swarmed by fishmen with guns. So, best to get an idea of where you're going and where you've been, because, well, there is going to be backtracking later. But for right now, it's time to run. Also, it's time to pick up a plant for no particular reason.
What now?
Now, some of these locations were also covered in a previous vision, just kind of alluding to some rather important things you're going to need to know for the future. But since I actually give you no point of reference in the vision, I guess it was just the developer doing a little flyby to show you what you would be seeing in the future. Such as these rather large green crystals I think we've seen before.
It won't budge.
Maybe the chisel will work.
The chisel alone won't be enough to loosen the crystal.
So we are going to need to come back here at a later point. But yeah, for those that remember the prologue so long ago, the green crystals were actually used as some kind of alien power source for, I think, the Yith technology. Yeah, you want to be very careful in this waterfall cavern. You definitely don't want to take any of these falls while standing up. Crouching will actually soften the fall just enough. And obviously you also don't want to take a diving plunge because, well, you'll die. So yet again in this central grotto area we have quite a number of pathways to go. Only one of them is the correct pathway at this time. We are going to have to come back here at a later point to solve a little puzzle. But for right now we kind of have to take a rather odd journey back upwards. Yeah, this can be especially confusing considering that you had to come all the way down here only to take a rather similar looking path back upwards to another cave entrance. But it'll all make sense, trust me. I do like the iridescent plants everywhere, kind of giving a good natural reason for the interior lighting.
We cleaned up the laboratories. The keeping the walls are shut and sealed. The outsiders have not been able to cross through the barrier. Mother Song is holding. There are many joining in prayer. Excellent. Dismissed.
What the hell do you think you're doing, Robert? We're in the middle of an invasion, and you've got our order singing hymns!
You're a fool, Sebastian. I command the Order of Dagon, not you.
The research must be protected at all costs!
I've shut the lab down, Sebastian.
What? This is madness! Can't you see how far Esther's come?
Your trivial experiments are of no concern to me. All energies must be directed at completing the translation of the tablets. The work of my great-grandfather must be finished. Take your worthless body back to shore. You are of no further use to the Order.
That's not going to happen, Robert!
Well, it looks like there's a bit of dissension in the Marsh ranks, the old school versus the new school of thought. And it's time to have a little standoff between me and Robert Marsh. And honestly,
You will kneel before me.
it's not that interesting. Robert doesn't have that many abilities. He can shove us back with wind, he can try to draw us in to choke us, which is the primary means he'll damage us.
Outside now.
And we basically just have to wait around and try to use a line of sight on the desk to not get dragged into his grip.
You will kneel before Father
while
Dagon.
finding some prime opportunities to run in and stab
Hide
him.
from me.
It's mostly just kind of a tedious fight, which is why I decided to speed it up. It's
Kafur Satan.
more just a waiting game more than anything. But quickly enough, he is down. Didn't take too much damage. The actual blowing back attack he did was actually not that dangerous. Looks like we have our Book of Dagon back, which I didn't even know we lost, but we also have a key to the laboratory, which Sebastian seemed pretty concerned about. Not actually sure why at this point. What's in the lab is a bit of a mystery. But at least we have some means of defense now. The knife isn't great, but it's better than nothing. It is now time to figure out where we are. After falling through that ventilation shaft, we apparently are in... looks like another massive hallway with... it is a sorcerer. We definitely do not want to tangle with that and more armed fishmen with a knife. Yeah, it seems like a pretty important corridor to be going down, and actually what's down here... well, besides a rifle, is the door to the temple that they mentioned barring off before. Actually, if you end up standing by that door for too long, you will go insane fairly quickly and more than likely kill yourself. But now that we are armed thusly, it's now time to start picking off enemies. Yeah, these sorcerers are pretty much like the ones we ran into the basement in the Order of Dagon. They will try to suck us and blow us away with wind and shoot energy balls, but health-wise, they aren't that amazing. So I have no idea how that guy did not shoot me, but I guess the old ones were on my side.
It won't open.
But as one can assume from the fact that we now have the key to the laboratory, that is going to be our next destination. Hopefully it is not too far away. The main point of contention, as one can assume, is the fact that, well, there's still an army of fishmen waiting to kill us. Thankfully, we are relatively safe through these little holes in the doorway here. And obviously, if you really wanted to, you could probably
The door's bolted
sneak
shut.
around like Solid Snake style and stab these guys in the back, but there is no real reward for doing that. Because either way, there's a good chance the guy that just shot me in the face there would pretty much immediately spot you whenever you open the door. But down in this room here is just a med kit in case you need it. do apologize for healing up every little bit that I can. I'm just very, very worried about dying. Sometimes the checkpoint placement is not really on your side in this particular area of the game. As we head back out into the main hall, there are a few large groups of enemies circling around that weren't there before. And obviously, with our firing, that's going to bring the attention of any other nearby enemies. Thankfully, this corner is actually a fairly nice bottleneck for getting enemies to come up and run to their deaths. Sadly, though, I am burning through rifle ammunition right now, and, well, when we're out of that, we're gonna only be left with our knife, which is definitely not what we want to do. So it's best just to go ahead and head on to the laboratory, as nothing else seems to be chasing us right now.
It's unlocked.
Definitely have some interesting plant life in here. And a book that actually describes the blue plant that we found earlier. It's apparently some type of poison. Also, we have weed killer. And we're actually going to be using that fairly soon, but probably in the next update.
Cursed! I'm cursed with this vile plague!
Ah, shit.
Please, stranger, I beg you, put me out of this misery!
I need your help. I have to get into the temple.
Only those loyal to the Order have access through the main doors. But there's an old passage. A passage that runs deep beneath the temple. Though I warn you now, outsider, tread cautiously. I've heard talk of ancient dwellers in those dark depths. An evil from a forgotten time.
This just keeps getting better. So how do I get down there?
Explore the abandoned areas. That is all I can tell you. Now, please, kill me and my pain.
Well, that was the least I could do. He did give some really vague help, I suppose, which, I don't know. How are we supposed to find abandoned areas? This entire place looks abandoned. But yeah, you want to be a little careful after you do murder that guy, because, well, it does drive Jack a little insane.
I've never seen plant life like this before.
I'll be sacrificed.
But it actually looks, well, I think we're actually circling back into the prison.
Hear something.
That right there was just to tell us that there is a second floor to the prison, and also that was a backpack full of our weaponry. But I think we're going to get to that next time on the next part of Dark Corners of the Earth.